Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another propaganda review with me, Imperial Dane, and today we're reviewing Battlefleet Gothic Armada from Tinderloose Entertainment and for Tinderloose Studios. Something Tinderloose animates a bunch of Frenchmen working together with Focus Home Entertainment, which is a sort of more recent, larger publisher there appearing. And it is out on Steam and other platforms. I think it's roughly around 30 to 40 euros, dollars, or whatever sort of reasonable currency use, which could, for all I know, be hamsters. So Battlefleet Gothic Armada is based on the tabletop game called Battlefleet Gothic. It revolves around the Gothic War in the Gothic sector, what was also known as the 12th Black Crusade from Abaddon. Spooky. And overall, it's sort of a real-time tactics game, not so much strategy, it's sort of more tactics, since there's not really much building. There's overall just sort of build up an army or force before, get some points allocated to that, and then sort of go out and play in different missions. One of the things to sort of first highlight is the game is absolutely bloody gorgeous. There's really a lot of visuals here. In fact, they've just constantly been adding more effects, better effects, sort of more snazzy effects as they sort of just improved and worked on the game. And also the cutscenes themselves are also great. They just really dark thing there. So that's also pretty damn good. It's overall pretty, well, nice. So yeah, that is, well, good. Really good. And overall, something really positive and also something, to pay attention to. I mean, sort of all again, so again, that's really it. Again, I really also have, in that sense, I suppose I have to praise whoever's sort of in lead of art design, because again, he's really done his job well. I mean, this again, strong, focused there again visually. The only complaint I really have is maybe just one portrait, and that's for the Imperium, for their rating sort of the handle melee and sort of boarding. And I wish they chose a Stormtrooper or something else rather than sort of just some greasy commoner, but that's about it, really, I can find there in terms of complaints, and that's really it. But again, visually, very lovely, very interesting. Thought it turned down the volume there, but go figure. Still some effects, apparently, that still sort of happen. But overall, the game basically sort of has you run around different missions. And of course, there's also possibly where the game sort of already there runs into a bit of an issue. I mean, the game, again, visually great, has some issues when it comes to sort of the mechanics. It's adding some of its own functions against trying to relay a tabletop turn-based game in sort of more real-time realm. And sort of while it's had succeeded in some parts, there are some elements which I don't think have sort of quite succeeded. The missions, basically, for example, rather favour some things. Of course, in that department, probably should mention overall, there are about 4 fleets. We have the Imperium, we have the Orcs, we have Chaos, and we have Eldar. The Orcs and Imperial sort of the slower faction with more firepower. The Orcs really have a lot close-up firepower. The Imperium's in between. And the Eldar sort of more long-range, short range, but very fast, very sort of agile. And you have the Chaos sort of long-range fast. And the thing is, in some missions overall, the fast ones have the bigger bloody advantage. And that's a bit the problem there. That's a bit of a problem, if you will. It sort of creates some less than fun scenarios, I would argue, and rather again sort of skews it towards those factions. And again, that's also one of the other issues. Balance is at the moment wonky. So overall, if it were to, for example, say go multiplayer, if you actually should you play multiplayer, I'd probably say wait with it, because it's rather cheesy and sort of focused on sort of small types of play. A lot of shit, for example, for the Imperium just aren't worth it, since their broadsides, for example, are somewhat lacking at the moment. For example, even I'm using the Retribution ship. Note I'm playing skirmish against AI here for illustrative purposes. And I was actually just playing around there with the skirmish account. The thing is, I mean, it's not really good as the Emperor. In that fact, for example, carrier ships are overall just more favoured over gunships in the game. So there are some bits there where the game probably needs a lot more polishing in terms of balance. And that, of course, is a bit unfortunate, to say the least. That is, in fact, a bit unfortunate, and certainly, again, I mean, it needs some working on there. Obviously, for single player again, playing the AI, it's not going to matter nearly as much, really. Though, of course, there might occasionally be some issues there, for example, when you, as the Imperium, encountering the Orc Death Blob. As for actual gameplay there, I mean, overall, again, it's pretty funny. So look, apart from that, you have boarding, you have torpedoes for some ships. You got, carrier stuff there you can also do. Orders can sort of briefly buff you in different aspects, give your ships more accuracy, rate of fire, and so on, making it a bit more useful. And boarding can be used sort of, incapacitate things there. So there's a lot sort of in that sense going on with the game, and a lot that can go on very quickly. And of course you can also, for example, further designate, what areas do you want to hit, what areas do you want to damage, sort of gaining bonuses towards dealing with that. So those are some things as well to sort of also add a bit more spice to the game. And again, for multiplayer, it's just going to be a mess where they'll try and ram you, just sort of try and cheese you out with a lot of abilities. In that sense, it does get a bit too twitchy, less tactical, less strategic, less focused on actual positioning of things, which is a bit unfortunate considering what it's supposed to sort of try and emulate. So again, that's sort of where the game sort of slightly runs afoul of the actual fantasy sort of trying to display here, which again is unfortunate. But single player, it does build up the campaign. It's overall fun, it sort of adds more elements as you sort of play through it. Sort of more things you have to manage. You sort of try to defend the entire Gothic sector, which has been cut off from the entire Imperium by the evil forces of chaos. And again, that does give you a bit to work with as well. It does add some elements, if you will. Voice acting wise, it's not so good. There's some it's alright, but it's not really what I'd call the highlight of the game. Certainly nothing on the level of, say, Relic Entertainment and Dawn of War. So, I mean, that is a bit there to keep in mind. But again, nothing that really holds it back in the game. The dialogue also ends up being rather stilted, if not downright cheesy. Which, again, is not necessarily a big deal either. But again, if you're sort of really used to what Relic offers, you might feel a bit, well, that could have been better. So that's a little thing there, to keep in mind. And of course, there are other elements that can also give us some headaches here and there, which is a bit unfortunate. But again, overall, it does play out decently, though. Again, the missions sort of types can give you a headache, as again, some of them, don't really feel you just really tiresome. Planetary Assault, for example, generally found was always a trying to end up just treating it like, wreck everything, because usually you could do that if you're sort of semi-competent before you ran out of time to do the other objectives. So that's, a bit unfortunate. Again, does highlight there are some areas where they do need to work more to sort of really improve the game, if you will. Sort of mechanic, again, visually very great, very lovely, and they've really just been adding more and more in effect. For example, right there, those are plasma macro cannons, and that's only just recently been added. So there's a lot there, but again, balance-wise, point-wise, there are some bits that would be, focused on. Another thing also probably to mention is that in terms of pre-order bonuses, it's a bit different there. For example, for the next 2 months, roughly from since the release, you'll actually be able to sort of get access to 2 fleets that are sort of apart, will be added to the game later on, which is, is also pretty neat. And again, I'm rather getting my ass handed to me here, sort of highlighting why I probably should have gone for an Emperor class here rather than Retribution. Again, full net battleship, it's not very good, in particular again versus Chaos. We can just sort of kite it out and just take it down with critical hits. Again, balance-wise, some room there for improvement, if you will. Which, again, is a bit unfortunate, I would argue. That is, necessary. So, I mean, chew on that a bit. But overall, I mean, I have been enjoying it, but at the same time, when it comes to the campaign, for example, again, multiplayer, I just haven't bothered with since, well, the beta, because it's just not really good, and here I'm just, getting my ass handed to me again. A bit difficult, to have to sort of manage a battle and, do commentaries while sort of playing it. But again, I figured you show off the gameplay, and again, it's just skirmish, no big deal. Too much, anyways. But again, the campaign does run into some issues as it goes on. It just becomes tedious. It loses a lot of element. There's no real end game, if you will. And basically, it's just sort of doing missions. There might be some more scripted missions, but they are rather sort of on the rarer end of the scale, which rather means there's not so much to do there as the game progresses, which tends to make it a bit boring. If you sort of old fact, we do have skirmish. We can sort of play as all 4 fleets if you want to, again, without having to deal with human beings, which is rather nice. They're planning, I think, additions sort of so you can play it with friends against the AI and so on there. I mean, overall, it's a pretty solid, fun package. Again, atmospheric really catches the essence, but again, mechanically, it struggles rather than sort of getting it there. Again, there are some balance issues, some design issues there that rather needs to be looked into. Some room for improvement is definitely involved in those areas. Also, a tutorial segment every single bloody time. That's not cool either. just a quick note there. That is not cool either. But again, I mean, overall, if you can sort of look past the frustration and just find something you really want to do, I mean, it's all good. Again, I would recommend for the time being staying to single player until they sort of get multiplayer sorted out. Otherwise, again, you might not find it to be the most sort of fun thing. But again, the campaign, overall, good stuff. And again, down the road, there'll be more factions added. They've basically announced it to be Space Marines and Tau. So that's basically, again, if you pre-order here, again, in the next 2 months, roughly, well, you get them for free, which is much better than what Total War Warhammer's offering, which is sort of now to like the first week after release. And that's just chaos, which really should be available. It's actually something they're adding later on, which is made available for free. So, I mean, in that sense, if you sort of look at, I mean, roughly you're probably getting more value for money in some senses there as well. But again, visually good, audio, alright, gameplay, rough, but has some good elements. But again, there's more work needed. Really sort of consider again, and also for example, Feywild, which is something you sort of do to upgrade your ships. There's also room for some improvement. Again, it can sort of add some visual flair to your ships, make them more interesting, give some ability. But again, for example, if you consider Imperium, some of them are just really good compared to others. Again, even for the Orcs, for example, there's some bits where it doesn't quite make sense. Like for example, you get a Nova cannon, but he just can't hit the broadside of a barn even up close, which rather renders it useless. So there are some things there again which could do with some improvement, to put it mildly. But, I mean, overall, enjoyable game for the price. And, you know, if you're looking for some proper Warhammer 40k, I'd say you're not going to go far off the bat. And again, the campaign is reasonably enjoyable, has some great cutscenes, has some good moments. And overall, I've been enjoying it. But again, as the campaign sort of teeters on, it does lose some steam there. So do keep that in mind. But overall, a reasonably safe purchase if you're into sort of, you know, big ships firing at each other, torpedoes, boardings, and all that. Just stay away from the multiplayer. So yeah, I think that rather covers it here for the review of Battlefleet Gothic Armada. I mean, overall, single player wise, solid, and so on there. So thank you all for joining. Hopefully this has been informative. Hopefully this has given you a idea if you want to get it or not. If it had, that's great. If not, well, not much to do there, I suppose. But, you know, hopefully, again, this has been informative and given you some idea if you want to jump into it or not. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you all another time for another exciting review. Cheers, everybody.